This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Dave Coldwell over Zoom. Dave, good morning. How are you?
All right, thanks, mate. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to catch up. Obviously, a great night of boxing last night. Let's get straight into it. Conor Benn with a devastating first round knockout victory against Samuel Vargas. Talk to me about it, Dave.
Yeah, do you know what? I didn't expect it to be as quick as that. I thought it was going to be I genuinely thought it was going to be a tough test. Obviously, you're looking at Vargas and what is, who he's been in with, the fights that he's had, the performance that he's put up. I know people talking about Virgil Ortiz stopping him in 7 last time out, but that's Virgil Ortiz, and I rate Virgil Ortiz as like the world's best prospect. I think he's a fantastic fighter, a great prospect, and I think he's going to go on to be one of the superstars of the sport. I still see Conor Benn as developing and learning on the job at 24 years old, limited amateur experience. We all know the story. And I thought this was a really good test for him. Don't get me wrong, I thought that Conor had beat him, but I thought he'd have some rough moments. I thought, I didn't know whether he would stop him late. I kind of thought possibly he wins on points. But he got his timing straight away, and his accuracy was fantastic, crisp, fast shots. He didn't seem to load on the shots at all, just let them go snappy and sharp. And it was, the variety of punches in the sequence that he was throwing. You saw Vargas's head bouncing back and then obviously gets interrupted. And I know a few people saying, oh, was it stopped prematurely? But when he goes to ropes and Vargas's head snaps back, you look at his eyes and he sags. That's the kind of view that we saw that the ref had. And so really, it was a good stoppage from the ref's point of view, because he sees that spot there. I know he like comes to straight away, but they didn't really complain too much. So that kind of tells a story in itself. But it was fantastic. I don't think it was stopped prematurely, because of the way that Vargas reacted to the punches. I mean, we've seen him so many times where you see somebody's head snaps back and the referee doesn't stop it. They get cleaned out with a shot, and everybody gets on the ref's case saying, "Oh, I should have stopped it. You saw his eyes roll back in the back of his head, and blah blah." So kind of like that's what the ref saw. We saw that angle from one of the angles that we saw on camera, and that's where you look at it, you think, yeah, stop the fight. And it was a great stoppage, really was.
A lot of talk after the fight as to what's next for Conor. Dave Conor immediately calling out Amir Khan, Kell Brook, but Amir Khan seems to be the one he was kind of shouting for the most. Kind of, what's your thoughts on what's next for him? Are you somebody who's maybe a bit more conservative about matching him up with somebody like an Amir Khan or Kell Brook, or do you think it would be the right move?
Sometimes boxing is about timing, isn't it? You look at Amir Khan and he's not the fighter that he once was. So that's a very intriguing fight. I wouldn't be opposed to that fight. I do think it's a step up. I do think it's because Amir Khan, even for a few rounds, his legs are still very good and he's still going to be punching fast. But the thing about Amir Khan is when he does get tagged by a puncher, then you do see a reaction. And as he's getting older, that reaction is going to be greater and possibly quicker. But I would like to see that fight. I'm not going to lie. As a fan, that's a great fight. It's another intriguing fight. That sort of thing. Yeah, fair enough. There are other fighters out there that you could say are good building fights for him, because that was a step up last night, Vargas. But it was a step up because they thought it would. And the reason why that opponent, I would imagine, was picked was because he was going to give him problems. With his experience, with his durability, with his toughness and know-how in that ring, he was going to give him problems that he would have to encounter and overcome, perhaps that he's not had before in his career. But what happens is when we set fighters up and then they blow them away before they've encountered those problems, those question marks are still there. And it's not a case of question marks as in doubting Conor Benn's ability or whoever it is that you've got doubting their ability. It's the question marks as in you want to see them experience that before they go into a top level fight, where then they're presented with those problems for the first time at that top level, where maybe because a fighter who's perhaps on the downward slope, or a fighter who's not quite at that top level, will ask you those questions, find a couple of chinks in your armor, and then in the fight you can adapt to that, and you learn from it, you grow from it, and then you come through with a win. When you go straight in against the top fighters of that sort, that gonna give you them sort of problems, if that's the first time you're experiencing it, and you're having to work it out in there, if they're at that level, they don't let you work the problems out. They don't let you solve the puzzle, and they take advantage of it. And then we say, oh, it was too soon. It was the experience, blah, blah. So it's a very, very tricky one, because yes, on paper, you look at it, Vargas, that was a test passed glowingly and fantastically, amazingly. But none of the questions were asked by Vargas of what we expected, So I would still like to see him in a fight like that, where he's going to have those kind of questions, but he's going to experience those situations before he gets let off the leash. He's 24 years old. I think he's developing fantastically. I think Tony Sims is doing an amazing job with him. That bond and that connection that them two must have, to get the best out of him, to see him soak everything up and constantly learning, constantly developing. That's brilliant. And the more time that they have, the more that's going to be added to Conor, and the better he's going to be. And then, because, mentioning people like Sean Porter and people like that, I'm not doubting that in time he can get in there with those guys and possibly beat those guys in time, with more experience and more things added to him. But right now, that's a big jump. That is a big jump, and it's a lot of unknowns carrying into an elite level, sort of fight, top quality level fighter. So who's next? There's a lot of other fighters out there that would be good fights for him. One that you could say is Avanesian. That's a fantastic fight. Before he fought somebody like Porter, Spence, big names like that, then yes, Amir Khan, I'd be happy for. Avanesian, I'd be more than happy for. As a fan, as somebody looking, and seeing, because if you're saying that if he's ready to go in with your Porters and your people like that, then David Avanesian's European champion, and that would be a hell of a fight. And that would give you everything that you expected from, everything that you'd expect from Vargas, putting it on him, soaking up punishment, working the body, keep coming forward. That would be David Avanesian. But the added danger of the power of Avanesian as well, So as a neutral, that would be a great fight for me. But again, if I was looking after him, then I would want to see him in against somebody else before. I would want to see that kind of fight that we would have got against Vargas if you hadn't got rid of him straight away, before he goes in with an Avanesian. That's what I would say, because Avanesian's, we saw against Josh Kelly, he's very, very battle hardened. He's tough. He can take the shots and get hurt early doors and come through, which often does find a lot of fighters that are lacking the experience, finds them out. But I just think he's 24. I just think he's developing at such a great rate that I wouldn't want to rush into something too big too quick when he's still developing. But they see what they see in the gym. They know how good he is, and that's I often say people don't see when you're not in that gym seeing him day in day out, then you don't know what they're capable of. You're only going on the fights that they've had and the experience that you see on paper that what they've got. So it's a very difficult question when you're saying, "Oh, we should," because ultimately we don't know. We can only say what we see ourselves. I just, yes, the Khan fight I would love to see as a fan. So yeah, you know.
One final name I want to push at you is somebody I saw mentioned by a few people, Michael McKinson. Do you think that would be a good matchup because of the stylistic kind of challenges it could pose, or do you think Conor needs to be looking beyond the domestic scene now?
I don't see how that's without being. We've seen majority of us seen McKinson once, you know, in his last fight, and it was a good performance, yes. But is it I'm not running McKinson down. I think he's very good at what he does, but I don't see how he would leapfrog other fighters in when you're looking at you know, bringing Conor Benn on for up here. You're trying to go. McKinson's still down there. It's like, you know, you could talk about loads of fighters that are coming through, and you know, and everybody's reaching for something that's above them. McKinson wants Conor Benn because it'll put him up. You know, I've managed Samuel Antwi, and he's always talking about, shouting about, get me in, get me in, get him. You know, you've got Florian Marco that's shouting for Conor Benn. Everybody that's below somebody wants to reach up to fight for somebody, but those that you're trying to reach up, they're reaching up for there, and they want to develop themselves to get up there. So, you know, when you've just fought a Samuel Vargas, a name that's, like I said, he went 7 rounds with Ortiz. He's, you know, he's been in with your Khans and your people like that, good fighters. Then, without being disrespectful, for a Conor Benn to then take on a Michael McKinson, although we know McKinson's quality, it doesn't really match up with what they're trying to do, looking after their fighter. Ultimately, everybody's looking after their own fighters, so obviously the management of Michael are going to want that fight, but ultimately Conor Benn, his management and his people are in the Conor Benn business trying to develop him as well. Do you know what I mean? So that's not really a fight that I would be excited for as such.
Moving on, Dave. Shannon Courtenay becoming a new world champion last night, defeating Ebony Bridges. A great fight for the 10 rounds. Just your thoughts on that?
I thought it was a great fight. Really, really good fight. Forget all the talk before about what everybody's wearing and all this sort of stuff. I thought that shit was all just cringing. And, you know, at the end of the day, you don't see male fighters talking about, oh, he's wearing fucking Nike pants, he's wearing Speedos, he's wearing whatever. Do you know what I mean? Nobody gives a shit. But it was like mentioned constantly about what Ebony Bridges is wearing. Who gives a shit? Ultimately, the fight was a good fight to watch. It was a really good fight to watch. And yes, I get the eyes were on the fight because of the talk beforehand, and I get that, I understand that. But the most important thing is that those two girls absolutely put it all on the line, and it was brilliant. And it's coming on the back of some great women's fights. They're going out there and they're giving absolutely everything. You know, Terry Harper and Tasha Jonas was unbelievable. You see Katie Taylor and Pursuin and people like that, and you just see what they put on the line. And once that bell goes, however the way that they're selling it, or however the way the fights are happening, once that bell goes, they're putting on some great fights. And the eye on Bridges, and she kept going, and she was hurting, she was gassed really bad, she was tired, but she kept going and going and going. Courtney got caught a few times and buzzed a few times, but she kept. It was a great fight to watch, a really good fight to watch. I really enjoyed it. And so, yeah, fair play to him. Credit where it's due. Brilliant fight. And another one to show that women's boxing is, when they get the matching right, it's very appealing and it's very enjoyable when they get the matching right. But there are far too many because of, and I understand it, it's because the pool isn't very deep. And so it's like, you can't get, it's like Savannah Marshall. She gets a last minute pullout, you know, a week before, 10 days, a week before, I think it was. And it's like, how do you get somebody that's going to be a good enough level to give Savannah Marshall, who I think is the best on the planet. How do you get her a test or something that's worthy, it's going to make it look like a competitive fight? And it's very, very hard at last minute. It's very, very hard. And that's the problem that women's boxing's got at the moment, but it's getting better. It is getting better. And last night with Courtney and Bridges, you saw that.
Let's move on to Savannah. Routine third round stoppage victory for her. As you mentioned, it's kind of a last minute replacement opponent. What do you think is next for her? Does it have to be the Claressa Shields fight?
It doesn't have to be, but it's what you want, isn't it? It's what you want. I just think that Savannah, I don't think anyone out there is on her skill set. I just don't think anyone's on her level of boxing ability. I watched her live when she won the title, and I'll tell you what, you could hear. I've never been at a women's fight where you could hear the punches land with some serious power. She carries power, but she's got the boxing ability and the skill set, and she's just, I really enjoy watching her. I think she's a really good fighter, and I think she beat Claressa Shields again. I think she does a job on her. I really do. And so yeah, I would love to see that fight. I think it's a fantastic fight.
Final fight from
I think her, obviously Katie Taylor's the she's done everything, but I think Katie Taylor and Savannah Marshall, I think they're two outstanding talents. And yes, Claressa Shields is obviously, but I just think Savannah beats her.
Final fight from last night I want to touch on before we come on to your guys, Dave. The Cash Farouk and Alex Espinosa, about terrific fight once again. Another great performance from Cash Farouk. What did you make of it?
I like Cash Farouk. I think he's very, very good. I love what he does. He's in that pocket all the time, rumbling forward, head dropping, picking his little shots and then turning them into a power shot. He's a very, very good fighter. Very, very good fighter. And I'm probably going against the grain here, and people are like, well, but I think he gets hit a lot. People talk about as though he never gets hit. When you're watching it, yes, nobody's mentioned that. Yes, he is getting hit. That's why he marks up every fight. He does get hit a lot, but it's his defense, and he rides them old school. He rides them as they're landing and things like that. It's brilliant, and he's brilliant to watch. I love to watch him. I'm a big fan of his. But he does get it a lot, and either I'm seeing things that aren't happening, or I'm right, and it just don't. Put it this way: if that was a slick boxer in there, and they're winning every round, but they get in it like 3 or 4 times in a round, everyone's going, oh, he gets hit oh, they need to work on his defense. Oh, if it's an anti-foul in there and he's getting, oh my God, they need to work on his defense. Is this. If that was a Conor Benn in there and he was getting it, they'd be talking about him getting it. But Cash Farouk's getting it quite a lot. But because he's landing so much more and he's at work rate and it's fantastic to watch, they're not actually calling the fact that he's getting it. And it's like, well, I wonder if he gets hit the same amount of times against Inoue or Casemiro, does he take those same sort of shots? That's what you've got to look at. It's all even, listen, I would love to see right now the rematch with McGregor and Farouk. That is the one. I would love to see that fight. And I think Farouk's an outstanding talent. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking him. I think he's an outstanding talent and I love to watch him. But it's the same thing as with any fighter. You've got to kind of like judge him quite the same and say, well, he does get hit quite a lot. If he steps up to that level, can he take the same sort of punches that he's taking off of guys that are, 8 stoppages out of 21? Can he take the same sort of punishment off of guys that are a little bit harder punches, a little bit better quality, but in his style and how he is, I love to watch him box.
Dave, moving forward and on to your guys. I'm going to start with Lerone Richards. Lerone, we've been waiting to see him back in the ring for December when he fought. It's been about 4 months now. What is the latest with Lerone, Dave?
Training is working hard. I've been told a possible date. We're just waiting for it to be announced. So there's not really a lot I can say. It's not my job. I don't manage him. I only train him. So Eddie's his promoter and Sam Jones his manager. So we know what we've got to do and we'll work to it. But there's not really a lot I can say other than he's working really hard in the gym. And yeah, just trying to get some more spite in the kid. Because he's got the skills, he's got the talent. It's just trying to make him a little bit more spiteful. No, he's not going to be a come forward aggression, Cash Farouk type fight where he's throwing a million punches around and trying to smash you to bits. But I just want to see him do a little bit more and be a little bit more spiteful. He's an outstanding talent, and we've got a date that we're working towards. Just wait for announcements and see what happens.
Hopey Price, I know he's back in the gym as well alongside Jordan Gill, but we'll start with Hopey. What is going to be the plan with Hopey next?
He was back. He had a week off, came straight back in. Outstanding talent, mate. He's mustard. He is very, very good. Been getting some great work in with Leon Woodstock. I've had Stephen Cairns, who's a big prospect that I managed from Ireland, 18 years old. Great talent. Those two have been working alongside Leon Woodstock, getting some great rounds in. Hope he's ready to go. Eight rounds next, 10 rounds next. He's ready to go. And we tried to get the Zayed Hussein fight last time out. I would love that fight again this time. If not, Mahmoud would be happy to go for that fight. He's a really good talent, and everybody that's been in the ring with him, I'll tell you, he's a really good talent. Got an unbelievable attitude. I just like him. I just need him to be busy. Eddie mentioned to me that he'll be out in May. I'm just waiting on confirmation. We're in the middle of April now. We're ready to go. I just like a confirmed date, and then we can get cracking. But I'm excited about that kid's future. He's outstanding. It really is. And his attitude is just the best attitude I've ever come across. He's so grounded. Nothing phases him at all. He's got ice in his veins. He really has.
And finally, Jordan Gill. What is next for the thrill, Dave?
Another one. Just waiting to find out. See what happens. I know there's been talk about certain opponents. He's number 5 in the WBA now, so it's just a case of seeing what's next. Again, I'd like him to be out June, July, and then we can get cracking.
Now, just a few quick ones. I want to just run past you very quickly. Somebody who you've picked up in your management stable, who I've got to know well over the last few years, Raza Hamza. What is the plan with Raza, Dave? Talk to me about that link up.
He's Arun Edley's coach. I work very well with him. He's a good friend of mine. They asked me to if I would speak to Raza. I like the kid. He's a very nice kid. He's got talent. 15-0-1 his record. Needs to get him to English title. Get into that English title mix. Get him a crack at that, something like that, and then move on from there. Obviously Lee Wood's the British champion. As Lee moves on, then he's somebody that I would like to see fill that void as far as my stable's concerned. But he needs to get I'd like him to get the English title route, get that nailed down, get some experience of real fights, and then we crack on.
Moving forwards, next weekend, Demetrius Andrade, Liam Williams. How do you see it playing out, Dave?
Good fight, really good fight. Liam Williams is strong as a bull. He's really strong and he's sharp. He's looking very good right now. He's full of confidence right now. They really, really fancy it. And Andrade is a talent. He's skillful. He's not somebody that excites me much. He always comes out. He always seems to have look dynamite for a round or two, and then just goes through the motions, sort of thing. It'd be interesting. It's an interesting fight. I genuinely don't know. I give Liam a great shout. But Andrade, he, even though he's not for me, he's not my favourite fight to watch, but I rate him. He is very, very good. It's a very, very tough task for Liam. But if Liam can get on him and bully him and you know and outstrength him and just be horrible with him, really, then I'll give him a really good chance. It's a good fight. I can't wait for that one.
Dave, final thing, a lot of talk about Fury AJ. Will it happen? Will it not? I believe today's the day when they'll be presented with the offers. In your opinion, from everything you've heard, from anything you might know on the inside, do we see that fight this year?
I think so, but it's so weird because you hear stuff coming from camps where it's like deadlines and fight's not going to happen. So if they want the fight to happen and they're wanting to get, if things are very close to having, if you know that all you wait for is a couple of offers that are going to come in the next week or so, I don't get why you'd be so, well, if we don't get that offer in 3 days and that's it, it's done. Just let it happen. If you've waited all this time, then what's another week if you know that that's the deadline? If the deal was, 30 days or whatever to get a venue, if you're that close, then don't walk away. Or is that just to keep people talking about it because everyone's kind of fed up of talking about it? Will it, won't it, will it, won't? I think it'll happen because if it's that close, sure, that means if you've agreed virtually everything apart from where it's going to be, and obviously the site fee has a lot to do with how much money you're going to generate, but surely they must have had some sort of ideas what the site fees for these venues are going to be, just waiting for in writing confirmation. Then we present them to the fighters and then you choose where you want to box. If it's at that stage now where they've got them in writing, then surely it's just a matter of picking where you want to box and which is the best deal for you. But it kind of makes me laugh that it's like there's all these different promoters that are involved in it, but there's only Eddie that's really, really driving it to fucking make it happen. There's nothing stopping Frank Warren or Bob Arum's like going around the world and getting these offers and looking to stage the fight themselves. There's nothing stopping them. They're big, powerful men in the sport. They're big, powerful promoters with shitloads of money and shitloads of contacts. Why aren't they, working hard to make the fight in case Eddie can't pull it off? If Eddie can't pull it off, then you can say, see, we made it, you didn't, you shit, whatever. But they just sat there waiting, slagging him off and saying he's never going to do it, but they're not doing it themselves. They're not trying to do it themselves. It's just, I don't know. Maybe they haven't got the clout. Maybe I'm wrong, but like Bob Arum and Frank Warren, they're massive promoters. You're not talking about Eddie's got Anthony Joshua and he's trying to get this fight made for Anthony Joshua, and I'm managing Tyson Fury, and me and somebody else are trying to scurry around and trying to get contacts and stuff to get a venue, get contacts and drum in enough money to make the fight. No, you're talking about 3 major powerhouses in boxing for years. Well, 2 of them for years and years and years, and Eddie over the last whatever it's been. But there's only one man that's going out there that's trying to get it done, but yet everybody else is doing is looking at him and slagging him up and saying, this fight's not going to happen. You're shit. You're this, you're that. You're not going to get it done. Well, get it done yourself.
All right, Dave, we will leave it there now. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I know you've got to shoot off for training this morning. I appreciate your time.
Training, we got a match.
Well, I'm sure your son's looking forward to that, being able to get back out, I take it.
Yeah, definitely. He's loving it. He's back playing. He's been playing. He's had his first couple of games already, but this is our first game with our Sunday League team. So yeah, it's our first league game. So we're happy.
Good luck with that then today, Dave. I appreciate your time.
Cheers,
this morning.
mate.
Speak to you soon.
Thanks,
Thank
mate.
you.
Cheers.